Everyone, Chris Berryman here, coalition builder and founder of Bringing Humanity Together. I'm here with my great friend and partner, Sandy Chernoff, and this is the meet and greet session of the Conversation for Humanity live stream call. Welcome, everyone, to our Bringing Humanity Together live stream. This is one of three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella, where people can discuss topics related to the workplace, humanity in the workplace, in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues that people are facing out there because it is our goal to work with both not only employers but also employees to bring humanity back into the workforce. And as always, we'll always be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, except for Conversation for Humanity. We have a meet and greet at 2:45 to 3. And remember, as always, Tuesdays is hosted by none other than Sandy Chernoff before Sharon Kara Sandy. I host Conversations for Humanity on Wednesday, and then our other great partner and friend, Carla Fedigan, hosts Humanity Happy Hour on Thursdays. And as you jump on, whether it be on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn Live, Facebook, let us know where you're actually watching us from, and connect with us also here at Bringing Humanity Together, whether it be Carla, Sandy, or myself, and we would love to have that great and engaging conversation with you. And even if you're watching the replay, use the hashtag replay, and also let us know where you're watching from too as well. And also, I'll be putting the live link into the live stream here shortly. So if you have any questions, comments, topics you want to bring to the table, we would love to hear from you too as well. So how are you doing today, Miss Sandy Chernoff?
I'm good. I always look forward to these. Hi, Carla.
Hey,
hello, Carla.
I didn't mean to make a disruptive entrance here.
Okay.
Oh, no, never you. No, that can never happen.
I mean, I always find these conversations fun and interesting, and in some cases, depending on exactly what we get into, enlightening. I kind of look forward to them because we always have a good time.
Yeah.
And we always learn things because we learn things from each other, and we just share different kinds of ideas and different perceptions on the topics that we talk about, and so it's pretty interesting. I kind of hate to miss them because they are so interesting.
Yeah, I missed them last week when I was on vacation.
Well, you're allowed to be on vacation, Carla. That happens.
Yeah.
Get away with your husband.
I thought about you guys, but I'm thinking, no, I can't get on. I'm walking to State Park or whatever
you're doing. You're entitled to have some time off. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good. It's actually good to take a little break.
What's wonderful when you work for yourself, you can do your power hour of work, and then you can take the rest of the day off,
Yeah, exactly. And
but I was telling Sandy before we got started that guess who's going to be on the call today? Graham is going to be here today.
No way.
Graham.
No way. Okay, Graham, you better get on here.
Going to be here today.
Wow.
Yeah, I just got the notification that Graham is going to be here today.
He's going to be live, or is he just going to be watching? Is he going to stop?
No, he accepted. So I'm hoping he'll join us because I saw he accepted the invitation.
I'll bet you a Texas Roadhouse dinner, whether he shows up or not.
Let's bet dinner on it.
That's good, Carla.
Yeah. I'll bet you a dinner.
Oh, that's going to be tough, Graham. He's actually good to see and hear you all today. Graham,
come on, Graham, we got a dinner in this one.
Come on, join us, Graham. We would love to hear from you today.
Let's have a dinner. Yeah.
We'd like to see him. We haven't seen him for a very long time.
Well, we haven't seen him since we used to just do these as recordings and not do live.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sandy, you're in your sweater and I'm here sleeveless.
Well, actually, outside it's 19 degrees here.
Ooh, that's a little cold.
19 Celsius?
That's Celsius, so that's warmer, Chris.
It's like what? What's that in Fahrenheit?
if you add 20 degrees to that, I think that's what
Oh,
Fahrenheit.
is that kind of the range? I can't remember. It's 1.9 plus Celsius plus 32, whatever that is.
Yeah. So it's warm. I mean, it's sunny and it's warm out. I mean, yesterday was nice too. We went for a nice walk yesterday, and I didn't even wear a jacket. In fact, we walked for an hour. The reason we did, Yale's car was being fixed. And so for the first 2 days of the week, he took my car to work. But yesterday, they phoned him and said his car was ready. So we walked to the car place, which is about an hour away from here.
Walking.
So we walked over there and picked up his car.
An hour walking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. But it was nice out. And, so it was a good thing to do. And we went when he came home, because they told us it would be ready by about 4. So we left here just before 3.
Yeah.
And, his car was ready when we got there. He got an old car. And so there were a lot of things that needed to be done. And the guy that we go to, he's wonderful. I used to clean his teeth.
Wow.
I've known him for a very long. I've known him for a very long.
Everybody.
And a lot of car mechanics are not very reliable or honest. They'll sort of do things and whatever. Yeah. Mel is honest as the day is long, and so are all the guys that work for him. And they're very reliable. Like when one of the times when Mark came here, when Jack was really small, and I had to attach, or secure a car seat for him, I went in there, and the guys did it for me for nothing.
Yeah.
They just came out to my car and secured the car seat. And, sometimes they just do that. And in fact, they took 10% off all the work that they did on Yale's car yesterday. So they just gave him.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
nice.
It was a $3,000 bill. So, it wasn't like it was nothing.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
But Yale, I said to you, why are you getting so much work done on your car? He says, well, I can't buy a new car for $3,000.
Right. That's true. That's true.
So, and his car is, it's pretty good. And neither of us drive our cars really a lot. Under normal circumstances, when I go either to the southern suburb of Richmond or I go downtown, I take the train, because parking downtown and coming back from Richmond sometimes is just a real pain in the ass. And it's so much easier to just take the train and walk.
I did that a lot when I lived in Europe.
Yeah, so that's normally what I do, unless I have to go out to a different kind of suburb that doesn't really have transit. So then I drive. But for a lot of my contracts, which were either in Richmond or downtown, I would just take the train all the time. So my car sits in the garage. So
I did that a lot in Europe.
Okay. Well, it just depends where you're going. I mean, Yale takes the car to work because it's just easier for him. And he's got parking in the building. And you see, my car is also registered in his building, so he could take my car and still park it there.
There you go.
It was fine. But
hold on, I'm going to grab this call from my dad.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Right.
So it's just, it just depends where you're located and how transit works and, all that kind of stuff, Chris. It just sort of depends. We happen to be, I'm about 6 minutes walk from a main train station. So, why would I take my car? When it costs me like $1.25 to take the train and you ransom your car in the parking lots downtown. Just to me, it doesn't make any sense. Plus, I don't have to deal with traffic or anything. I just sit on the train. So, no biggie.
Right.
It's just a matter of what you do. So my car is newer than Yale's, but it doesn't have a lot of mileage on it. I drive it to the grocery store. And when I am busier, like not during the pandemic, I do go out to some of the suburbs. Like I go out to Langley and I go out to Burnaby and I go out to some of the other places that transit doesn't, it doesn't serve it very well. So it's just easier for me to take my car. But because I don't have, those kind of contracts right now, my car mainly sits in the garage. For little runs here and there, but it's not getting a lot of mileage on it right now. So
yeah. So Kareem, I just sent you the link in the chat. Please, Kareem, if you can join us, we would love to have you on the chat. I mean, not chat, but the live stream. Because thank you so much. Because I met Kareem on Clubhouse,
Oh,
and he's a great individual, and he's really nice. And Graham, man, we miss you, man. You gotta get on the call with us. We've been asking, where's Graham? Where's Graham? You know. So, but like I said, Graham, when you can, like I said, click on the link, join us. We would love to have you a part of the conversation today because today's conversation is going to be really great in scope. Because what we'll be talking about today is the call to action. Uh,
I'm trying. It's not working. Is
yeah,
that
saying that it's not working. Um, so, like I said, just let me do this again for you and see if that works.
yeah?
Do it one more time. Maybe we have to go through the actual invite guest. Click here. Copy. And all right.
You can't see him waiting in the wings, Chris. He's not out
Okay.
there.
Yeah. Kareem, here's the link again. And try the link again. Here it is. Because that should be the link that should work. So we apologize. Well, because we've been having issues with Restream for some odd reason or another. I'm not a tech guy, but hopefully we'll get this thing corrected and fixed up because for what I was told by Restream that they were going to clear up a lot of the issues that was been going on with LinkedIn Live because of the APIs and whatever have you. I mean, it's all technical jargon to me. I have no clue what all that stuff means, you know. So I'm saying, hey, just get it fixed, will you? You know, I'm missing out on a whole chunk of people that would like to hear our message here and everything. It's not going to help us anymore if we can't get that to the people. So, but yeah, like I said, today's topic is going to be about creating the right environment to the call to action in business today. How can we create the great environment that where people can really be not only involved but also maybe to some degree in charge of their own way of how they get through their day to day at work, or even say, I'm just not going to just do the 9 to 5 and just clock in, clock out. I really want to go above and beyond that and maybe help others to join me on that very journey, or I can join them on their journey. And like I said, the call to action, I think, really needs to be discussed today because, see, a lot of people just talk the talk, but can they truly walk the walk? And
Well, if your employees are thriving, your business is going to be thriving too, Chris. So, you know, it's a matter of, are you helping them to thrive or are you turning them off?
right. And that's true. And see, and that all comes down to active listening, um, really understanding their point of view, and don't try to put your reality onto their reality, thinking that that's their reality when in fact it's not. It's our projection thereof. And I've learned that from Brian so very well. And I wish Brian could be on this call because, like I said, when he explains the models of the world that we actually view our world from, it can really be an eye opener when we let go of that model of the world and say, what if there's another alternative to it? And especially in a place of leadership. Can we really let go of our ego, let go of our own self-interest to a certain extent and say, hey, how can I get Carla and Sandy where they need to go and everything? So let's piggyback off of what we were talking about yesterday, Carla. How can we create a really great call to action in our work environments today moving forward?
Well, I think to create that call to action, you have to have a vision, which we have, and you have to have a clear mission statement, and you have to have the belief that all are welcome. You know, when you talk about making changes in this world is just totally screwed up right now. You know, everybody's all for themselves, and we need to make it about other people, because what you give, you receive.
Right.
And sadly, there are a lot of entities that are trying very hard to divide us. And that's just my belief. And there's no place for that. You know, I don't care if you're purple with orange polka dots. It makes no difference that we need to treat each other equally in the way that we want to be treated. And we can't just talk about it. We have to do it.
Well, it's the old adage that we all learned when we were kids: do unto others as you would have others do unto you.
Mm-hmm.
And,
the golden rule goes, it's just
basic concept. It's basic. If you're nasty to people, what do you expect? They're going to be nasty back to you.
Well, my mom used to always say, well, if you're going to treat somebody that nasty and you want to live by the golden rule and you treat people the way that you want to be treated, do you treat yourself that way?
Yeah.
Yeah. And sadly, there are a lot of people that cut themselves down. Positivity is a choice, and you can smell it you can smell negativity a mile away.
Yeah, it is a choice. There's definitely, I've said before, you wake up in the morning and go, this is going to be a bad day.
So that in and of itself is a call to action. That you have to make a choice each and every day. Today, I'm going to make it a positive day.
Exactly.
Yeah, crap's going to happen.
Of course it does.
Do you know what's going to hit the fan? It's going to fall apart.
It's how you deal with it, Carla. That's the thing. If you decide you're going to have a good day, then no matter what challenges you face or obstacles come into your path, you'll step back and go, okay, well, how can we fix this? How can we deal with this?
So what now? What?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of adopting that kind of approach to things. And if you do, then you will have a good day.
And is it a speed bump or is it a mountain? It's what you make out of it.
Exactly.
Well, what does the saying? Make a mountain out of a molehill?
Mm-hmm. And there's lots of people who do that.
Oh, they're constantly climbing a mountain.
And that also brings up to the dynamic that I've learned some wealth from John C. Maxwell in his great book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. He brings up the dynamic when we were taught as kids about King of the Hill. Because King of the Hill is like you always had to climb over somebody to get to where you needed to be on top of the hill. Why have we were taught that as kids? I will have no earthly idea why. But when I listened to that from John C. Maxwell, it's about you are literally stepping on the hope, dreams, and aspirations of people because you're putting yourself first over them. That was the whole purpose of the game, and we never really saw it as kids because we were just thought it was a game. Yeah, they could have probably named it differently, but back then we didn't know what we know. But like I said, when he put that in that book and I listened to it, I'm like, wow, King of the Hill. That's amazing.
Where did that game originate from?
I don't know. Find that out, Carla. When did King of the Hill?
Hey, Google.
Live on air, ladies and gentlemen.
King of the Hill.
Carla, this is on the fly, literally. When we get something good and we want to know about what it's from, bing, bang, boom. We'll go to Google right now and say, how did King of the Hill originate?
Here we go. The concept King of the Hill in video games was introduced by core war players who would pit their warriors against each other in the fight for survival.
But that's basically the same premise when you think about it when we were taught as kids to play King of the Hill.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the same premise.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Well, there are lots of people who like to be the king. They like to be in charge. They like to tell everybody else what to do. Those people aren't that much fun.
But see, ladies, I know leadership is not about being a king kind of dynamic. We can't be rulers of someone else's destiny. We just can't.
No.
We have to let people decide for themselves which way they want to go, not only in business, but also more importantly in life itself. We can be that guide with them, especially on that hero's journey. And I think that's just as important as the very hero themselves, because on that hero's journey, not only can you learn from the hero, but the hero also can learn from that very guide. It's like you can't have a Yoda without an Obi-Wan. You can't have Luke Skywalker without an Obi-Wan. Everything's interconnected. And I even, like I said, dare to say that God is just as important as that very hero, because maybe without the God, we may not even have a hero. And especially when you taking that in context with leadership, if we don't have great navigators on that ship with that very captain of the ship or that very leader, then how do we steer the ship? Because it's like what you know this Carla so well. In the 21 Years of Lost Leadership, John C. Maxwell says a leader charts the course, but navigators steer the ship. But without that leader, what do? You can have all the navigators you want, but if the navigators don't know where they go, what do you do?
Well, again, it's teamwork, Chris, and you got to listen to people, and you got to pay attention to what people want and help them to achieve it. And if you can do that, they're going to be feeling gratitude and gratefulness and all those kinds of things. And it's just a matter of helping people to thrive. And if you can help them to do that, then everybody wins because everybody benefits. So it's not about the leader. It's about the people that you're supposedly leading. And you got to pay attention to them and find out what they're looking for and how we can help them get there. And if you can do that as a leader, then you're good. And then again, everybody wins. So it's a matter, again, you got to listen, you got to pay attention. And if you can do that, then you're going to be way more successful as a leader. Being a leader doesn't mean that you dictate. That's not what leadership is about. It's really not. In some cases, people might ask advice on something. Whenever my kids did that, I'd always look at them and go, so you really want my opinion on this? You want me to tell you what I think? You know, because sometimes you don't know if that's really what they want to know.
Yeah.
So then they look at me and they go, yeah.
This is a setup.
Exactly, Carla. So then I'd say, okay, so you really want to know what I think about this particular issue? Yeah, okay, fine. But I'd always check because otherwise you just get into trouble. Like when my son was getting married and they were talking about, you know, they hired a wedding planner and then they were talking about the invitations, you know, all this kind of stuff. So in the end, I offered to do the invitations for them because I've done them for many events. So I said, you send me the font, you tell me what you want it to say. I'm going to send you paper samples and you pick the paper that you like. And then I'll get them printed and you send me the list and I'll send them out from here. And in the end,
that was nice of you. Where were you when I got married?
So it was just, you know, and I said, you guys have a whole lot of other things to do. You know, they had to make the physical arrangements and choose the food, and they had to go to samples and, you know, to sample the food and different kinds of things. And I wasn't in Toronto. So, I mean, I did go there and we had a meeting and we had a budget. And I said to my daughter-in-law, I said, Kim, this is your wedding. You pick what you want. It's got nothing to do with me. I want you to be happy. I want you to enjoy your wedding. So, you know, if you want this kind of table center or you want these kind of flowers or whatever you want, as long as it fits into the budget that we've discussed, then I don't care what you do. Do what you want to do. It's your wedding. Well, she looked at me and she went, really? And the wedding planner looked at me and she said, I've never heard people talk to each other like this. She said, usually they're yelling at each other. I said, I'm not going to yell at her. It's her wedding. I want her to have what she wants. This is something that she'll probably remember for the rest of her life. So let it be how she wants it to be. And it was a beautiful wedding. I mean, it was really lovely. And they picked the band, and the band was very good. And my daughter-in-law sings beautifully, and she sang at the wedding.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah, she's got a beautiful voice, and she sang at the wedding. And, you know, all of us gave speeches. They gave us, you know, a time period. So Yale and I worked on it together. So I said part of it, he said part of it, you know. whatever. And it was kind of interesting, but they gave us a time frame and we stuck to it because, speeches at weddings can go on and on and on and on and on, and it's boring for the audience. So unless you have something very specific and keep it short, then, whatever. So they gave us a time frame and we abided by what we were offered to do. And our daughter and her brother and my daughter-in-law's brother were the two MCs. They shared it. It was very cute.
So, Sandy, I have to ask, for most weddings, it's usually like the bride's parents that pay for the wedding.
Well, what happened was this. Because a lot of the guests, because we're so far away, had to come from Vancouver and Calgary and Edmonton and LA and, a whole bunch of Western places. In a Jewish wedding, you always have a Friday night dinner. You have an event on Saturday. You have the wedding on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
And then you usually have a brunch on Monday.
Oh,
so
wow.
You have to feed the people that come. Jews
Yeah.
eat. I mean, it's just how it is, Carla. So I sat down with Kim's mother because they don't have a lot of money. And I said, most of these other events, other than the wedding, it's mostly our people. So we'll pay for it.
Well, that's awfully nice. Yeah.
And I said, yeah. I said, the only people from your family that are going to be there are the immediate family, but the rest of the guests are all ours.
Yeah, I didn't realize that I thought that there was a cultural difference in customs between, say, a Christian wedding and a Jewish wedding.
Well, you see, the wedding itself was expensive because it was in the synagogue, and that means that all the food has to be kosher. And kosher food is always way more expensive, Carla. So I figured, what, they've got a big enough bill with what has to go on at the synagogue. So we'll pick up these extra pieces. And Mindy started to cry, Kim's mother. She absolutely started to cry when I told her that. She said,
Oh, wow.
do that? I said, you guys, you're going to pay for the wedding at the synagogue. We will pay for these other events because, it wasn't a ton of people. It was like 25 or 30, maybe up to 40 people.
But they're mostly your people.
Yeah. And, we got, like, one of my friends lives in a condo in Toronto, and they had a big party room. And so she arranged for us to use that party room. And it wasn't very expensive. I think we had to pay, like, I don't know, $50 for the party room. It wasn't that expensive. So we got it catered. And Kim and Mindy suggested different caterers to us. And so we catered that dinner at my friend's party room.
Yeah.
And it went fine, and they have a big parking lot at their condo and everything.
Yeah.
So, it was really easy. And the brunch we had at a restaurant. And a lot of people didn't come to the brunch. Some people stayed.
Yeah.
A lot of people went home. So we had the brunch at a restaurant. And the Friday night dinner was at somebody's house. So we didn't have to,
that's nice.
We had it catered. So, it was just a matter of figuring out all these things, how to do it. And once we figured that out, again, I told Mindy, I said, you guys don't have to pay for all of this. It's mainly our people. So, you're paying for the wedding, and it was a big wedding. And so, it cost them a lot of money, but we helped out. Like, we paid for some of the liquor, and, we helped out in different ways because we just felt that we should.
Yeah.
Why should her parents pick up everything? It's not fair.
I think I would have cried too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's just a matter of how are you doing things? And, we felt that we should help. We felt that way. And they were very, very appreciative that we, helped out. And, again, Chris, it was one of the things that we put money aside for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then again, you gave and you got back so much more than what you gave.
Oh, exactly. They had also a big engagement party for Mark and Kim. And we went to Toronto for the engagement party. And at that time, they were still living in their house. So they had the party in their house. They now live in a condo. But at that time, they were still in their house. So they had the engagement party at their house. And we went to Toronto so that we could be there for that. It was the first time that we actually met Mindy and Stephen in person. We'd met Kim before because she'd been out here to Vancouver. And when we'd gone to Toronto, we'd met her before. But we'd never met her family.
Uh-huh.
So we met, her parents, we met her brother, we met her grandmother, we met her aunt and uncle, we met and some of her cousins. So at the engagement party was when we met some of these people. And of course, at the engagement party were friends of ours who were in Toronto, and Yale's got a first cousin there, and he's married, and, so, and a few other friends of ours that came to the engagement party. And it was fun, it was just, but it was a good thing for us to do, to get acquainted with family and, and so on. So, and again, we had to pay to fly out there. And fortunately, we stayed with friends. So we didn't have to, move into a hotel for that visit. But now when we go, we just stay with Mark and Kim. We have our own bedroom in their house.
Well, that's nice.
Nice.
That's nice.
But ladies, what you're just literally describing there is when the call to action is called upon, you take it, you take care of it, and you actually make people feel more at ease and maybe even more engaged. That you said, hey, we're willing to do this. This is what we're going to do. And you can do that very dynamic even in our workplaces today and say, hey, you know what? You did all this work. We're going to get others to help us in this part of the project or whatever, and we'll go get it done. No worries. And I think it comes to the mindset that I truly have here in my brain that when you get many hands involved, many hands make light work.
Absolutely.
And it does. And
also, it's more fun, Chris. I mean, it's definitely more fun when more of you are involved, as long as you're on the same page and had decided, how this was all going to work and so on and so forth. Because what happened with Kim, she decided to change the centerpieces for the table, and she called me. And I said to her, Kim, is it within the budget? She goes, yeah. I said, are you happy with this? She goes, yep. I said, well, then go for it. She said, really? I said, of course. I told you before, it's your wedding. This is what you want to do. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I can't believe it. I said, believe it. As long as it's within the budget, I want you to be happy. If this is what you decided you wanted, then go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just wanted to check with you. I said, I appreciate you checking with me. But, again, I want you to be happy. It's your wedding. It's not my wedding. I've had mine. So, I get along very well with my daughter-in-law because we actually have a lot in common. She's got a master's in education. I just have a bachelor's in education. But she blogs and she does a lot of presentations like I do. She does webinars, she does live sessions. She helps teachers be more effective in their classroom. She teaches them how to make their classes more interactive and so on and so forth. Plus, she works for Google. And so she teaches facilitators how to use Google Docs and Google, just all the different aspects of Google to enhance their classroom experiences and so on and so forth. And before the pandemic, she used to travel all over North America. I'm not kidding you. She even came to Vancouver. And
Wow.
She told us to come. And it was at a school in West Van. So Yale and I went. And when we walked in, the people that were taking the registration looked at us and they went, you must be Kim's in-laws.
Because they're much too old to have kids in school.
Exactly. So it was pretty funny. We said, yep, that's who we are. Well, fine. You go over here and then you can go into the room where Kim is.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny. But, she spoke very well. And the reason she wanted us to come is because in her talk, she includes some of the things that she does with the boys. And she even had pictures of them in her presentation. So we enjoyed it very much because we got to see our boys. And but she speaks very well. And because we do a lot of the same things, we have a lot in common. And she's also written a book with her mom. And Mindy wrote a book with one of her colleagues. Her mother also has a master's in education.
Oh, nice.
So, we have a lot in common. So it's kind of fun.
That's great.
Yeah, so we get along well, and I would never do anything to harm that. That's why
absolutely.
I always ask if they want my opinion or whatever. I never give advice unless it's asked for.
Right.
Because in my view, it's their life, it's their kids. So it's up to them to decide what they want to do. If they ask something, again, I always check, but
You
then,
really want to know?
yeah, well, exactly. And then I say, okay, well, here's what I would do.
Yeah.
Because, and I've told you this before, Chris, my older grandson is brilliant. I mean, he's really, really, really smart, but he's not terribly social. Okay. And he views the world from his perspective. And when things don't go his way, he gets upset. And her father has depression problems. And I think that Jack sort of, tends to go that way. So they actually took him to a psychiatrist so that he could learn some strategies to help him to cope with things better. And I think it's helping because I said to Mark after one of our Skype calls, I said, Jack seems a lot happier. He says, yeah, I think it's working. I said, well, that's good because he is very smart. And they had him in French immersion for a while. Now he's back in regular school. The French teacher that he has, I guess, isn't that good. And in front of the class, he corrected her.
I love it. I
Can
love
you
it.
imagine?
Oh, my word.
I love it.
Sorry, Teach. I'm going to have to put you on the spot here.
That's not the right word, and you didn't pronounce it correctly either.
Oh,
He was in a
my
French
word.
immersion correcting the French teacher. I love it.
Well, he's been speaking French since he was about 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So, he knows how it's supposed to sound. And
Right.
because when you learn it that young, you sound like a French person.
Yeah, my kids did. Yeah.
Yeah. So, he knows. And it was kind of interesting. I guess the teacher wasn't very happy, but you can just imagine.
He get kicked out?
No, but she told him that, in future, if he had something to tell her about what she was doing or saying, to please do it in private at the end of the class. Not in front of the
Oh, wow.
Or
No,
if you really want to teach a class one day, let me know,
Yeah. So, but he's very, very, very smart. And it makes it difficult to deal with him sometimes. Like one of the nannies they had, after a couple of days, they had to get rid of her. She couldn't handle him. And he figured it out in a couple of hours. And he tests. I mean, Mark was like this because my son's pretty smart. And I think I told you one day I got this phone call from my son. Mom, I need your help. And I went, oh my God, Mark, what's the matter? And he says to me, Jack's turned into me. So, of course, I started to laugh hysterically. And I said, oh, poor Kim. She doesn't deserve this. You're getting exactly what you deserve. He goes, well, what do we do? I said, you and Kim need to sit down and figure out what consequences matter to Jack so that when he pushes the envelope and crosses the line, then you exercise some of the things that matter to him. Otherwise, because what Mark used to do, he'd go and do things he knew he wasn't supposed to do just to see what I would do.
Yeah.
And if I didn't notice, he'd come and tell me.
Right.
I mean, so he really pushed the envelope, and apparently Jack does the same thing. And one of the times that I was there, because, they have a nanny. The nannies don't work evenings and they don't work weekends. So when I would come, I would say to Mark and Kim, go out for dinner, go for a movie with your friends, do whatever you want. I'll take care of Jack. So the first time I did that, it was before Sam was born. So Jack wasn't 3 yet. So he comes up to me shortly after his parents leave and he goes, Mommy and Daddy let me do, and I don't even remember what it was. And I said, I'm sorry, Jack, I'm not letting you do that. And he looks at me, he puts his little hands on his hips and he goes, you're not the boss of me. And I go, well, actually, when Mommy and Daddy aren't here and I'm babysitting, I am the boss of you and I am not letting you do that. So he looks at me and he goes, oh. I said, listen, Jack, I raised your dad. I know how this works. Don't you ever do that again. So he laughed. On the one hand, you can't blame him for trying. He figured I wouldn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And he tried the same thing on my daughter. But of course, Elisa also remembered what Mark was like. And she treated him exactly the same way I did. So he never tried it on her again. But you see, with the nanny, she didn't get it, Chris. And so he could walk all over her.
Yeah.
That just doesn't work.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I really do. Because see, even when it comes to a call to action, when someone gets out of line at work, and they don't do the right thing, and they say that they can get away with one person versus another, then you create that different standard dynamic that where
Yeah.
you have two
There's
sets of
no
standards.
consistency.
No, that's right. When you don't have consistency, it's bad. And it's bad with adults. It's particularly bad with kids. You have to have consistency with kids. Otherwise, they don't learn. And kids also have to have boundaries. They need to know that, there's only so much they can do. And part of it is preventing them from getting hurt, because initially they don't understand. I mean, Mark grew up with no danger antennae. I mean, literally. And boys are like that. Little boys, by and large, have no danger antennae. Girls, there are some girls like that, but most girls, I mean, when Elisa came upon a barrier, she would look at the barrier and back away. Mark would come up to a barrier and he'd look at it, figure out, can I move it? Can I climb over it? Can I squeeze under it? Can I go beside it? Like he was trying to figure out how to get around the barrier. Elisa would just see the barrier and walk away. Just an entirely different approach to these kinds of things. And that's why you had to keep an eye on little boys, because they will get into trouble and they can get hurt. I mean, we had a sun deck that was over our carport. And Mark used to hoist himself up on the deck and like squirm around on the top of it like a worm, And sometimes I would be out there and get him off. And sometimes my neighbor from next door would phone me. Do you know that Mark's on the deck again? Doing
Your son's climbing on the deck again.
Exactly. One of the times I was actually out there and he hoisted himself up. He almost went over.
No.
He wrenched himself back onto the floor of the deck and he looked at me and he goes, "Boy, I almost went over." I said, "Yep. How many times have I told you not to do that?" I mean, it's a little boy. They just push the envelope and do things that, most little girls don't think of doing. We had friends who had 3 girls, and they used to call their youngest their boy. And one of the times they came up to Whistler with us, and Sharon, the mother, said to me at the end of the weekend, "I don't think we're going to be calling Peggy our boy anymore, not after spending the weekend with Mark." I said, "Yep, boys are definitely different. And if you don't have one of each, you don't know."
Yeah.
But having one of each, I mean, I know. And I mean, Elisa was always, a pretty good kid. And it isn't that Mark wasn't a good kid. It was just that he liked to push the envelope, because he liked to, like I said to Yale when we brought Mark home from the hospital, I said, "You got to put a gate up here to the carport," because there wasn't a gate there. And I said, otherwise he's going to be getting out of the yard and running around the neighborhood and we won't know where he is or what he's doing. So there's got to be a gate there. And of course the gate, and he'd look at it and I'd say, "And if you climb over that gate, you're going to have a very big punishment. So if you're in the yard, you stay in the yard. You want to go out of the yard, you come and tell me what you're going to do and how you want to do it, and then we'll decide if that's going to happen. Otherwise, you're going to be in a lot of trouble." And you kind of look at me and I say, "Trust me, that's what's going to happen." So, it was just a matter of, again, you got to set the boundaries, especially for kids that push them.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different with adults, Chris. I mean, it's really not. If we don't have boundaries and if people don't know that there are certain behaviors that they shouldn't be doing, especially not in the workplace, you've got to be nice to the people you work with. You've got to cooperate with them. You've got to respect them.
You have to play well.
Yeah. You've got to value their input. And if you don't do that, you're not going to get cooperation from them the next time you need them. And you're going to be a pariah in the office. So why would you do that to yourself? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. The more we help each other and look out for each other and respect each other and are nice to each other and value each other in terms of how we contribute to what's going on in the workplace, it's just a much nicer place to be.
Well, a lot of people don't know what they're doing. It when you're talking about this, it reminds me of the story you were talking about yesterday about the tech group that you worked with. The boss had no insight whatsoever that he actually needed help. And when you did all the training sessions, he came to one training session and nobody participated because they were all afraid of him. And his answer to that was just yell louder and more often, as opposed to working with them and having a productive team and all working together. His response was just to yell louder. It's almost like if your kid's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, yell louder and more often. And that just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. You've got to sit down with them and you've got to figure out, like, what I would do with Mark is if my mother invited them out for dinner or to a concert or to something, that's what I would take away, because that mattered to Mark.
Oh, yeah.
Giving him a spanking. I mean, he'd come to me, so do you want to spank me? And he'd pull down his pants, because it didn't matter to him. He was so tough. All he needed to do was threaten to smack my daughter, and that was enough. But with Mark, he needed to have something that mattered to him taken away for it to have any effect. Otherwise, forget it. Like, you're not going to change him. So I would take away, if Yale's mom had invited them for dinner or for a sleepover, if my mom was taking them to the ice capades or something, that's what I would take away. And then he would be very upset. And I'd say, well, you brought it on yourself. You weren't supposed to do whatever he did.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to continue to have that behavior, you're going to continue to miss out on the things that you want to do. So just remember that in future.
Yeah.
So, again, it's just a matter of how are you treating people and how are you setting those boundaries and how are people supposed to know that there are certain things they shouldn't be doing.
And yelling louder and more often, if that's not working for you, you have to stop and just say, I need help to figure out what I need to do here.
Yeah.
If you're not getting the participation you want. When my kids were growing up, they're in their 30s now, but I never spanked them because I couldn't hit them hard enough. I was so mad at them sometimes. I thought it didn't do me any good,
See, my kids are in their 40s.
Away.
My kids are in their 40s, Carla. So, they're adults. I mean, they have their own lives and, I don't have any control over it. As I said, sometimes they come and ask us for advice on certain things. But, by and large, to me, they're adults. They make their own decisions. It's their lives now. We're, I don't think not in a position to be telling them how to be living their lives. And it's just a matter of how did you bring them up? And if they learned parameters and, different things when they were little, hopefully that sticks with them.
Yeah.
And later on in their lives, I mean, both our kids, Mark in particular, he's a very social person and he gets along with people. He has lots of friends. Lisa also has lots of friends. She sometimes can be a pain in the neck. It's just her attitude towards things, but that's okay. We're used to that. But it's just a matter of, how do you get along with people? How do you deal with people? She's very good with her clients. She's excellent with her clients, the people that she gives nutrition counseling to. And she also has, you'll love this, Chris, she has a website for dog nutrition. So she works with vets and she works with pet owners, teaching them how to properly feed their animals. So, kind of interesting. But she has studied a lot of this stuff. And but she listens. She really listens to her clients and helps them make decisions so that, like she never tells them, this is what you have to eat. She asks them, first of all, here, some selections of what I would suggest to you. What would you like? What do you think would be appropriate for you? Are there items in this list that you would eat? Or, and what items would you not eat? So you don't have to, but I'm just making suggestions so that you can be more comfortable or more healthy or, whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
Right.
She doesn't make people, she asks them what, from this list of things, what would you prefer? Well, that's fine. Then that's what you should have. And, when she gives recipes, it's the same thing. Do you like this? Would this be of interest to you? And if so, I'll give you the recipe for it. So it's just a matter of, she's very, very good with her clients. And when Mark was teaching the tech stuff that he does, the companies that he went to, they would never, they didn't want any of the other tech instructors to come to them. Because if Mark came, they wanted him back. So if he was busy, they'd wait till he wasn't busy. And the company he now works for was one of the clients, and they pinched him. They wanted him directly for them to do their project management and, help them because they are a growing company. So it's just a matter of, how do you relate to people? How do you deal with things? How do you get along? And he's very helpful. I mean, I'm not very tech savvy, and he's taught me all kinds of things. And he's really good. He'll send me screenshots and he'll walk me through stuff. And he's very, very good at teaching you things that you have no clue about. So, and that's why he's so good at what he does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And it makes me want to ask you, Carla, how did you deal with people at work when you were in the nursing field? How did you, when there was a call to action to get something done and someone didn't do their part, what did you usually do?
Trying to think of a circumstance. Well, the people that I worked with, even though we were all at different professional levels, we all had the same boss. So there wasn't a hierarchy. So I wasn't in a position of leadership to make sure that something got done. It was kind of, it's weird to explain, but, I kind of would make it like, hey, we've got all these trucks to get through. Can you take a few? Or, hey, I've got 12 of them. You guys want 4 apiece or something like that? We would do something like that if we had phone calls or something like that. Because there were some people that we worked with that were like on their cell phone and not really working, which, things like that, when there are rules to be followed and people don't follow the rules because the boss isn't around when the cat's away, the mice will play. Day after day after day, and nothing gets done about it, and it slows everybody else down, and it affects customer service. You try to be nice, you try to be encouraging, and say, hey, let's knock this out by 4 o'clock so we can all leave early. And it was usually the most dedicated ones that were doing all the work. So after a while, it got to be very frustrating. So there really wasn't a whole lot of managing it. You kind of had to say, I didn't have control over it. I didn't have a solution, but what I could walk away with was the quality of care that I gave, and that's all I could do.
Well, so you did your best. Other people,
that's all I could do. Yeah.
Yep.
I wasn't in a position to say, hey, we need to get this done or whatever. It was more like, hey, we're one big team. Let's all get this together. Let's divvy it up and get it done. And sometimes these people that were on the phone all the time, well, I got this, that, and the other I got to do, but they weren't doing it because they were busy on their phone or when they shouldn't have been. So they really were not. They were saying they were productive when they weren't. And so, some days it was more frustrating than others. And sometimes you just had to walk away and say the only thing I can control is what I do.
Yeah. And see, I've seen a lot of that dynamic, especially in restaurants and retail, where people who are expected to do their part and do their role, like you said, Carla, when the boss is away, the mice will play, and they just go off and do their own little thing and whatever they have you and everything, and then
this was a daily thing because we never saw our boss.
Right.
We get emails chastising everybody and telling them this needs to be done or that needs to be done or whatever. Come on, let's all work together. But there was no follow-up to see that at each one of the satellites that was being done.
Right. But like I said, for me though, what ends up happening too, and I've seen this dynamic play out too as well, when something doesn't get done and they were supposed to be getting that done and they're not there, and then the boss comes in and say, hey, why didn't you get XXX done? Oh, Chris was supposed to do all that and that kind of thing. But yet Chris had no clue of what's going on because Chris was never told that. So how can you blame someone else for someone who didn't do their part, but yet throw someone else under the bus because of that. And I've seen that far too many times too myself. That's why the humanity factor, I truly believe, is so critical, because, like I said, if you do what is right and not what is easy, you get more people to go on the same path and same journey as an organization, or even more importantly, maybe even in life itself. So if you get somebody to say, "Hey, let's do this community birthday party or block party or whatever. Hey, bring your all this stuff." It's like what Sandy did with the wedding. She didn't have to do any of that, but she did it because she thought it was the right thing to do. And I think that speaks a volume to someone's character, someone's moral, someone's uh, purpose in life. Because if they don't do as they say and do as they do, then why are we doing what we're doing?
Yeah, you got to walk the walk and talk the talk. You have to lead by your actions.
Yeah, especially when you're in a leadership position, because otherwise, why would anybody care?
Yeah.
Talking it up is one thing, but actually demonstrating the behaviors, that speaks volumes, absolutely volumes. And it's so much more effective, because again, being in the leadership position, it's not about you. It's really not. And when ego gets in the way and they're just finger pointing and blaming and yelling at people to do things and do it their way, kind of thing, I'm sorry. That's not the way to lead people. Leadership needs to be done by example, and it needs to be done in a supportive, encouraging way. And if you do that, you're going to get so much more out of your people, so much more out of your people. And why does it have to be done your way necessarily? Let them figure out what works best for them so that they get it done effectively and efficiently, and so on and so forth. And if they're actually the ones that are on the front lines doing the job, why do you care how they're doing it as long as they get it done? I don't, to me, that's just a waste of time, and it's annoying. It doesn't have to be done the way you would necessarily do it. When people are starting out, you might want to give them some direction on how they could do it if they've never done it before. But in the end, if they find a different way to do it and they're still getting it done and it's still getting done well, why would you care?
Yeah.
To me, that's a waste of time. It's an absolute waste of time. And you're just annoying. So why would you want to annoy your people? That doesn't make sense either.
Well, it goes to this very quote that I love so dearly, and it comes from John C. Maxwell. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Chris.
And I just, like I said, at an early age for me, I had that light bulb moment and saying, hey, it's not about me anymore. It's really about those very people that I'm working alongside with, whether I was a trainer, whether I was a management in training, whatever. I knew it wasn't about me at all. And and it goes back down to what John C. Maxwell has said: lead by permission. Because why lead from a position of authority when, in fact, let's say you get into a new organization, you may think that you have all the pull and everything, but come to find out you're not the person that everyone goes to. It's like what John C. Maxwell did, I think, in his, what was it, his second or third pastoralship that he was at church. He was asking, why is no one really coming to me for advice, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out, the person who had actually all the influence and all the pull into the church wasn't him at all. It was the very janitor at the church. And John was like, wow, that says something about the level of leadership that's there, because you don't know who's actually the leader. You actually see them not only walk the walk, but they talk the talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's not about you. And the leaders that think it's all about them, they're just not good leaders, because that's not how it works. You've got to be setting the example, yes, and committing to the kind of culture that you want in your organization. But if you're yelling at people and finger pointing and blaming and, doing all sorts of things, they're going to make more mistakes.
Mhm.
And it's just not going to be a happy place to work. It needs to be a cooperative approach to things. And
Nobody needs to walk around on pins and needles either.
exactly, that doesn't help us.
Mm.
So it's a matter of how do you deal with your people? And if they look at you as somebody to go to who's encouraging and supportive and helpful, then they'll go to you. But if you're the person that's going to make them feel bad, why would they come to you? And, especially if you do in front of other people, and the other people are walking around on eggshells wondering when they're going to get yelled at next.
Yeah.
So it just makes more people uncomfortable. When people are uncomfortable, they make more mistakes. So, it's just not a good way to work. And it's a matter of how are you leading your people? How are you demonstrating to them what you want them to do and how you want them to do it? How do you demonstrate that? Well, do it yourself. And if you're doing it yourself, that sets an incredible example to the people around you. Like I said, if the boss picks up a broom and sweeps the floor, people are going to be shocked.
Mhm.
If that was something that needed to be done and everybody else was busy and he or she had the time, well, then why wouldn't they sweep the floor?
Yeah.
But it sends a very strong message to your team that they should also be looking at what needs to be done. And even if it's not their job, they can still roll up their sleeves and help out.
Yeah.
Because that's really how it should work in the workplace. We should all be looking out for each other and helping each other, particularly if we have a few minutes to help out somebody who's struggling with something. What is wrong with that? It just, it never made any sense to me to ignore that kind of stuff. It just, I'm sorry. That's not
the way you roll.
No, and it's not the way successful teams work.
Mhm.
Everybody needs to help each other and pay attention to what's going on in terms of what we are aiming for and how we want to get there. And if somebody's a bit overwhelmed, then help out. I mean, how hard is that? Again, this is not rocket science. It's just a matter of paying attention to what has to be done. And if we do that, then we actually function as a team.
Mhm.
And
It reminds me of pictures that I've seen of leadership. Sometimes you have a picture of a leader who's like 10 steps ahead and all the ducks are following behind. And then you have another picture, which is the one I like. The leader is in the middle of the ducks, working with the ducks, and everybody's growing and growing together, versus the leader that's in the back pushing all the ducks forward, like we do for toddlers. Come on, but I don't care what level of leadership you're in, but they say that as a leader, people will do half of what you do. So if you're in a position that you're going to contact so many people a day, maybe it's a sales position and you're contacting customers or whatever, or you've set a goal for yourself that you're going to do a certain amount of work. Well, people are going to emulate what you do. So if you're sitting back saying, yeah, I'm going to get this done, and you do absolutely nothing and you're all talk and no action, your people are going to be all talk and no action. They're not going to do it because they don't see you doing it. If they don't see you helping out everybody else on the team, they're not going to help everybody else out on the team. So you set the tone of what it's going to look like.
And also when you do that, Carla, it shows you're committed to it.
Oh, yeah.
You believe in it. And that's why you're rolling up your sleeves and getting involved and making sure that what needs to happen is happening. And when you do that, again, you're modeling what you want other people to do. And if they see you modeling it and doing it, then they're going to be far more inclined to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But again, if you're just talk, and you don't do anything, why would they?
Yeah.
Then they don't care. It doesn't matter to them. But it's just a matter, again, of talking isn't good enough. You got to walk the walk. You got to model the behaviors. You got to roll up your sleeves and help out. And if you do, you set a whole different tone, and you will develop a very different relationship with the people with whom you work, because they will respect that. They know that if they need an extra hand, you're the person that's going to give it to them. And then everybody else would feel the same way. If I have a couple extra minutes and Carla needs a little bit of help, well, then I'm going to go ask her if she needs help, and then I can help her so that we can get this finished. But it's just a matter of
action for this call. Walk the walk and talk the talk.
Oh, and get this, ladies. We just had Michelle Renee Renard just talk about what we're talking about here. And she said, my adult kids are 31 and 25. Michelle, we would love to have you on this call with us today. Please let us know if you'd like to join on one of our live streams, because we would like to talk to you more about this. Because, like Sandy said, adults in some instances are just like kids, because we were kids at one point. And to have that as a 25 and a 31-year-old, wow, that is, Michelle, we would love, like I said, we would love to hear from you as well, and like you to be on our live stream tomorrow with Humanity Happy Hour, because what we do with our kids, it turns into and I even had this conversation on Clubhouse, which in fact, Carla, I wanted you to be on Clubhouse this morning because I saw you on Clubhouse.
And I was on Clubhouse this morning.
Yeah, I saw you were actually on Clubhouse. I had a little green light that said you on Clubhouse. I'm like,
no. I was. Well, I don't know.
Well, anyways.
You're pulling my leg, because if I was, I didn't know it, because I wasn't listening to it.
Yeah, I was trying to bring you into this room. Because see what I was talking about also on Clubhouse.
Oh, you know what? That was probably the screen that I realized. I don't know. What is that screen? Yeah.
So anyways, like I was bringing up in the conversation room on Clubhouse this morning was, can we have the leaders of tomorrow today? And when you think about it, about legacy, when it comes to our kids, we can do that. We can actually look our kids in the face and say, hey, you know what? You can be a leader. You can. But when it comes to when it comes to leadership, the leaders that we need to have today are staring right in front of our face each and every single time that we look in the mirror and we say, hey, who should be the leader today? It's going to be me. Because I choose to lead. Because to me, choice is the ultimate path to freedom. If we choose to lead others, and we choose to lead our lives in the way that, like Brian says again so well, about living the life that we love, what can we not do? How can we not impact humanity on a grand scale from the very smallest things that we do? So, Michelle, we would love to have you on our live stream tomorrow and even be a part of this community.
That'd be a good topic for tomorrow.
Huh?
That'd be a good topic for tomorrow.
Yes. I would love that for the 19th hole. For some sips and tips.
Yeah.
So, but yes, Michelle, we would love to have you, and let's connect, Michelle. Carla and Sandy and I would love to have a great and engaging conversation with you. So let us know, Michelle, how we can be of service to you, and let's have that conversation tomorrow. So if you're up for that, Michelle, please drop a yes in the comments, and we would love to engage with you and everything. So, ladies, I'm going to ask you again. Today's this week's theme is about call to action. How would you start the call to action of what we can do here and what we will do here at Bringing Humanity Together? What say you, Carla?
Walk the walk and talk the talk. Talk about what we believe in and mean it. Lead by example.
Yeah, that's the key. Lead by example. Talking is fine, but talk is cheap. You've got to actually demonstrate how you feel and what you want others to do. And if you can demonstrate that, you'll have a far better chance of getting cooperation from everybody else. Because talking the talk isn't good enough. They got to see you act. And that actually shows that you're committed to what you want other people to do because you're actually doing it. And that speaks way louder than words. It's just a matter of, because I mean, when you're raising kids, kids are sponges. They just absorb everything around them, especially when they're little. So you have to be kind of careful sometimes of what you say and do because your kids are going to emulate what you're saying and doing. So if you swear a lot and if you do stupid stuff, you're going to find that your kids are doing.
Oh, yeah.
Things. So you have to be careful. And by the time they're adults, I mean, Mark's going to be 43 in September, and Lisa's 46. I got old kids, I mean, it just is what it is. But they're adults. And I think that by and large, we did a pretty good job with these two kids because they have good lives and they're nice with people. They've both had very good jobs. And Elisa's very successful in her dietitian practice. And, those things don't happen by happenstance. They happen because you gave them, the goods from the get-go and they've developed it and worked on it and grown with it.
Mm-hmm.
I also had, my mom was an amazing mother and a great example in terms of how to deal with people and how to get involved in your community and, all those kinds of things. And so I learned a lot from her. And my dad was difficult in a lot of ways, but he was excellent at what he did. And he believed in excellence. That was something that he demanded of himself and he demanded it of everyone around him because that's what was expected. And so, when you work around a person who demands excellence and produces it, because I think I told you, he had lots of dentists for patients.
Mm-hmm.
Dentists don't just go to another dentist unless they feel that they're, going to do a good job for them and they know what's supposed to be done. So it speaks volumes when you have a lot of dentists who are actually
For sure.
So, it's just a matter of what are we doing and what are we teaching our kids and how are we dealing with our friends and our family and our colleagues and so on and so forth. And if we do a good job and if we're pleasant and helpful and respectful, then you're going to get it back because it's the old story. What goes around comes around.
Karma.
Yeah, exactly, Carla. So, and what's wrong with that? It's something that people should recognize and pay attention to so that, if they're nasty to people and they're not helpful and they ignore things and so on and so forth, then they're not going to have a very good time.
No.
But if we pay attention and we offer help and, different kinds of things, then what goes around comes around. If you need a hand, somebody will give it to you because you helped them. It's not that hard to figure out. Again, we're not talking rocket science here. We're talking about humanity and how to be with other humans so that everybody feels good. And it's not really that hard to do. You just have to pay attention.
Mm-hmm. What's your call to action, Chris?
Well, my call to action is to do what is right and not what is easy. Because the more that we do what is right, we can't go wrong with right. We just lead with our humanity, lead by permission, lead with integrity, honesty, and openness, and just say, "Hey, I'm willing to extend an invitation to you for you to not only be a part of something bigger than of yourself, but also I can share in that very same experience with you." And again, I'll go back to what Brian Sumner has taught me so very well in that maybe in a conversation or maybe in a dynamic at work, whatever that might be, if we just take it for what it is versus what is not there, there can be even a point of transformation that comes out of that can occur not only in our lives but also in the lives of others that can really be truly positive, transformative, and really the mindset in work shift that we really need to have, especially from a place of leadership. because, like I said, leadership is not about ourselves; it's about serving others, and that would be my call to action. Just keep it simple, keep it easy to understand, and just extend that invitation to people to say, "Hey, you're not going to go it alone here. We're here to help and serve you." Because see, leadership is not about me; it's about Carla and Sandy and Brian and Graham. And Graham, we love you to get on these calls. I know you've been
You got a dinner in this, and you got what, 2 minutes?
Well, we have to get him on another call then, because, like I said,
I don't know if I'm going to redo this bet, you know? This is not an open-ended bet here, Karis.
Well, we love Graham and we love Brian and Kareem. Hopefully, we'll get you on another call. And Michelle, we definitely would love to hear from you and get engaged with you, and want you to also be a part of our community, because it's growing and it's getting bigger by the day, and that's what it's all about. It's about taking, like I said, that first step and saying, "Hey, we're going to not only walk the walk, but we will talk the talk as well," and say, "Hey, I want to join you on that very journey." And like I said, it's not about me. I'm just a coalition builder in all this. I'm the visionary person in all this. I just know my place in this. And I know if I'm surrounding myself with great people like yourself, Carla and Sandy and Graham and Brian and so many others, I know it's going to be a great hit. It's not a matter of if this is going to get big. It's only going to be a matter of when who joins on board. And that's for any business if you allow it to occur that way. So thank you so much, ladies. I greatly appreciate you so much. And
Yes, we always have fun, and that's what makes this so cool.
yes, so hope everything goes well for you tomorrow. And tell Yale we said hey and everything, and the kids. And we'll see you tomorrow for tips and sips or something like that for Humanity Happy Hour. Is that what it is for tomorrow? Sips and tips?
I'll try.
No, not this week.
This depends on
They
my
did it last week while I was away. So maybe next Wednesday.
Next
It all
Wednesday.
depends.
It all depends.
The girl I usually go with, she goes, I'd rather just get out and play. So we might just end up playing golf together. So we'll have to see.
There you go.
Yeah,
Neither one of us really drinks. So, it's.
yeah. But we greatly appreciate every one of you for being on the call today. And we would love to have those great and engaging conversations with all of you. So please get in contact with me, Sandy, or Carla. And thank you so much, Graham. And we'll definitely get with you guys very soon, because we want you to be a part of this. And thank you for your input today, Graham and Kareem and Michelle.
Can I make it in? Do I owe you for dinner?
I don't know, because like I said, he said thank you all. So he's been watching. So Graham watched his entire live stream today.
Telling me, Graham, that you were on, because I think I owe Chris a dinner. But you were supposed to be live.
Yeah, we were supposed to see his picture.
We were supposed to see his face. So
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I greatly appreciate you all, and we'll see you tomorrow for Humanity Happy Hour.
Depends how long.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, everybody.